with some terminology. Gray water.
Gray water is the wastewater from washing dishes or showering on board, and most of it goes overboard, which is why it's important to use environmental soaps. But black water, the wastewater from the head, definitely doesn't go overboard. In fact, on most inland lakes and waterways, it's illegal to dump black water overboard.
But the problem with this is you're actually storing black water on board your boat in between pump outs.
Yeah, and you know how bad that can start to smell, but there are some ways that you can reduce the malodor aboard or eliminate it entirely. The only challenge is if you ask 5 different boaters their opinions on how to do it right, you're going to get at least 5 different answers.
And there really is more than one answer. So let's start at the first step at the beginning of the season. You want to start out with a fresh, clean tank. What you don't want to use is a chemical such as bleach. It's corrosive and can damage your O-rings and seals. A better product that you should use is a product specifically designed for this, such as Shocktreat.
At the beginning and end of each season, it's a good idea to completely clean the inside of your holding tank. Use a product like Shocktreat and pour the entire bottle down your head, flushing it through to your holding tank with plenty of water. You want to make sure that your tank is about half full, and then head out for a cruise. The wave action and movement of the boat will slosh the water and Shocktreat around the tank, working to dissolve any old particles and buildup off the sides and top of your holding tank. Now, there's no need to pump out right after the cruise. In fact, the longer that you leave Shocktreat in, the cleaner the inside of your holding tank will be.
The next step is to check your head system. You want to make sure that the vent line from the holding tank isn't kinked to allow good airflow.
You should also check the vent line fitting on the outside of your hull. Now, this is one place that spiders love to nest, so it should be inspected and cleaned on a regular basis. And to verify that it's working, okay, Jill? When someone flushes the head, you should be able to feel your vent line exhale. It's working.
To control odors during the boating season, you want to use a deodorizer on a regular basis. Now, whether you use a granular product such as this or liquid, it's important to look at the instructions for how often to use it and how much. With whatever you decide to use, make sure that the product doesn't contain formaldehyde because it has health and environmental concerns. With this product, Head-o-matic, it's recommended that you use 1 capful per week and simply pour it into the head and flush. Now, if you're looking for something even more convenient, Ted has an automatic solution.
Now, if you're like me and hate messing around treating your head each and every week, you might consider installing an automatic water treatment system like this. It installs on the intake water line to your head, and each and every time you flush, as the intake water goes through the unit, it's automatically treated by this blue sanitizing bullet. And its installation is almost as easy as its operation. The first thing you've got to do is find the intake water line to your head. Once you've found the water line, the next thing you want to do, if your boat is in the water, you want to shut your through-hull fitting. Next, you'll want to find a spot to place the unit. First of all, that spot should be above the water line, and secondly, it should be in an easily accessible place so you can easily replace the bullet. Once you've found that spot, you're now ready to cut the water line.
Using an X-Acto knife, cut the freshwater intake line straight across. Next, locate the place where you'll install the tankette and mark the location of the mounting screws onto a stringer or bulkhead, but never into the hull itself. Then drill the pilot holes into the stringer. The next step is to slide 2 stainless steel hose clamps onto the water line leading from the through hull to the intake side of the tankette before you insert the tankette's hose fitting into the line. Then, tighten the 2 hose clamps down firmly. And repeat for the other line leading from the outflow side of the tankette up to your head. Now it's time to actually mount the tankette to your bulkhead. And it's always a good idea to apply a bit of silicone to each of the screws before installing it into the bulkhead or stringer to seal the holes. And now you're almost done. But before opening the through hull, be sure to install a deodorizing bullet and tighten down the top of the tankette.
To ensure that you've installed the unit correctly, you simply flush your head. And if you have installed it correctly, your head will flush blue. Now, the nice thing is, when your head stops flushing blue, you'll know right away that it's time to replace the bullet. Well, that's it, Jill, and you know, it doesn't get any easier than that. You know, if you combine those tips with regular pump outs, it'll keep your head smelling sweet and fresh.
Yes, and that's something that you and all the boaters around you will really appreciate.